I'm going to do something a little bit different today, and instead of reviewing a complete MRE, I'm just going to review an entree. I figure this gives me a chance to get a little bit more in depth with the review of the food itself. Usually, even though I call my videos MRE reviews, the review part is actually kind of light. I mean, it's more of a look at the MRE itself, some of the history and science behind it, and the contents, and then an overview of everything that's in there, and then a quick taste at the end. But I'm not an expert food reviewer by any means, so my reviews tend to be not very detailed. And of course, part of that is actually kind of by design too, because there's a lot of different opinions on MREs. Some people just dismiss them as being gross. Other people actually kind of enjoy them. I'm one of the people that, believe it or not, actually sort of enjoys eating these from time to time. And so if I was to give a review of a certain dish and say it was terrible, it was the worst thing I've ever had, you stay away from it at all costs, there's a chance that somebody else might take my advice and they could end up missing something that might end up being something that they actually would really enjoy. So I do like to give an idea what I think about it, but at the same time, I don't really want to scare somebody off from something. I think if you have an opportunity, you should try these yourself and see what you think of them. You know, of course, keep in mind that it is a ration. It's not meant to be something you'd get at a fancy restaurant. It's something more meant to keep you alive than anything else. But anyway, now let's get to the actual review of this entree. And this is chicken with tomatoes and feta cheese. It's also known as Mediterranean chicken. Mediterranean chicken is a bit more of a nicer sounding name. This is a little more boring, but also quite a bit more descriptive. And the chicken with tomatoes and feta, or the Mediterranean chicken, was introduced in 2010. In the genuine MREs, it was menu number 5, and it replaced the chicken breast. And the chicken breast was basically what it sounds like. It was just a chicken breast fillet that was grilled. It had some grill marks on it. And that had been around. It was an old standby. It had been around since 1995. So between 1995 and 2009, there was some version of a chicken breast MRE entree. This one is obviously quite a bit different. It's got a lot more to it than just the plain old chicken. And as I said, it was introduced in 2010. This one just happens to come from 2010. It was packaged on the 15th day, January 15th of 2010. So this one is almost 5 years old. I'm recording this in December 2014. Keep that in mind with the review. I mean, a fresh one might be even better than this one. I'm not expecting any issues with this, but it is close to 5 years old sitting in this box. Now, like I said, the chicken breast that had been in there for a long time, it was fine. I think I've actually done 2 reviews on the chicken breast, and there's nothing flashy about it. It's an old standby, just kind of straightforward thing. Usually get some other pretty good stuff in the MRE to offset the fact that it's a pretty boring entree. And we'll take a quick look at the ingredients. And the first ingredient is a chicken breast fillet. So this is basically, it's the same entree, but with a lot more flavor added to it. The second ingredient is water. Interesting. There's actually quite a bit of stuff in the chicken breast. The first 5 lines are just the chicken breast. And it has natural flavor, canola oil, soybean oil, chicken fat, and flavor. The next ingredient is tomatoes, and feta cheese, so that's good. It's where it should be. Milk, salt, cheese culture enzymes, potato starch, and water. Contains less than 2% of the following: modified food starch, spice, garlic, chicken stock, and a whole bunch of other small things. And the very last thing is dehydrated onion. So really, chicken, tomatoes, and feta are really the 3 main ingredients. And after that, it's a very small amount of everything else. Also take a look at the nutrition facts. I usually kind of skim over that and let people look at that on the videos. But since we're doing a review of this specific entree, let's take a look. It has 240 calories, 70 from fat, 8 grams of fat, 12% of your daily value. 4 of that is saturated fat. No trans fat, 75 milligrams of cholesterol, or 25% of your daily value. A lot of sodium, not a big surprise in an MRE entree. 1,200 milligrams, or 50% of your daily value. 8 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, 2 grams of sugar, and 29 grams of protein, a good amount of protein. Now, a lot of people do criticize MREs for being unhealthy, and you know, the sodium, that is a very high amount of sodium. But you do have to keep in mind that these aren't meant for what I'm going to be doing, you know, sitting at a table and just kind of relaxing and eating this. This is meant for being out in the field, in a stressful environment, possibly out in the desert, where you need to replenish a lot of nutrients that are lost, either in combat or doing maneuvers and training, stuff like that. So, after that long intro, let's actually take a look at what we have inside the box here. Chicken with tomato and feta cheese from January 15th, 2010. And of course, this is a meal ready to eat. I can feel the chicken breast in there, the patty or fillet, and then a lot of liquid. As I was going to say, it is a meal ready to eat, so you could just open this right up and just eat it as is, and I have a feeling it's going to taste better heated up, so I'm going to heat it up. And normally in the field you would use an MRE heater, but I'm going to go ahead and use some boiling water because I'm in my house and I can do that. So let's heat it up. All right, we've got the water boiling. And drop the pouch in here. And we'll give that a few minutes to get nice and hot. Alright, while that continues to heat up, I did want to quickly mention why I chose the chicken with tomatoes and feta for a entree review by itself. And I find it interesting because there don't seem to be a ton of reviews of this stuff out there, but from what I've seen, this entree is probably one of the most polarizing entrees ever produced for MREs. There's a few that are generally agreed that they're one of the better ones, and there's a few that are generally agreed to be some of the worst ones ever made. But chicken with tomato and feta, or Mediterranean chicken, is one of the few that I can think of that it seems like people really, really like it or really, really hate it. And I will say on YouTube, you can find a couple of reviews by the Epicenter. If you go to Epicenter Brian's channel, they do a lot of good reviews, good MRE reviews and freeze-dried food and stuff like that. And they seem to be big fans of the Mediterranean chicken. There's two reviews, one where Epicenter Brian and Janet review it while they're actually in Hawaii, and you can tell it's one of their favorites because they picked it to bring out there with them. And then there's another one where John from the Epicenter does a quick little mini review. So they seem to think it's one of the best ever. I've seen other ones where there's a lot of MRE entrees that are described as looking like dog food, or some of the stuff like the refried beans looking like dog poop. You know, there's a lot of terms like that. I found the chicken with tomatoes and feta cheese to have some of the worst descriptions, where people say it doesn't look like dog food or dog poop, but it looks like dog puke, or just puke in general, which is obviously a pretty descriptive and not very positive thing to hear. So I was very interested in trying it, and I did try it in the other review I mentioned, and I'm in the camp that really, really likes this stuff. I think it's really good. It's very flavorful, it's very tasty. But I did want to do a more in-depth review and, you know, really take a look at it and see what's good about it, and we can probably see why people think it doesn't look good. I don't know about as far as not tasting good, but we'll find out. I know Gundog4314, his first MRE review, he didn't really show the food itself, but from what I hear, he liked the taste of it, but it gave him, the feta cheese gave him a bad aftertaste that lasted for a long time. I didn't experience that with mine, but we'll see what happens with this one, especially with this one being almost 5 years old. Alright, after about 10 minutes, this thing is about as hot as you can be able to get it in boiling water. Let's go ahead and take it out of there. Alright, here's the extremely hot pouch. Let's see if I can get this open. You can kind of see where that description comes from with the, it's not really sauce on there, it's more like a soup almost. It's like water, it's liquid. And I do think it's kind of interesting that they replaced something as bland and simple as a chicken breast with something as flavorful as this. It's funny, after talking about what some of the people think about it, you can kind of see it both from the look of it and the smell of it. Alright, so we can see here, you can see a lot of tomatoes on here. You can see there's a good amount of chicken. And one of the things that's nice about it is a lot of the chicken things, the chicken fajita and some of the other ones, they tend to be a very processed kind of chicken. It's like chopped, chunked, and formed. Some people have referred to it as basically a chicken paste that's turned into a, you know, a fillet or a chunk or whatever. But this does actually appear to be chicken breast, which is nice. I'm not going to say it's not processed at all, but it actually looks like chicken. It's kind of comes apart, pulls apart. I don't exactly know what you call that, but I mean, to me that looks like real chicken. Pretty tender. Because it's been sitting in the sauce for 5 years. The sauce itself is very thin, very watery. But that's by design. It's not meant to be a gravy or anything. And you can see the tomatoes. I guess this white stuff is the feta. It's possible that some of the feta may have melted in the boiling water. But yeah, I think you see some, looks like chicken, but I think you see some feta in there. Little bits of flavoring, little, I don't know, oregano or some kind of little spices, stuff like that. That's really all that you can see in there. So let's give this a taste. Yeah, it's good. I mean, this one's almost 5 years old, but I think it tastes like it's supposed to. It's Mediterranean. It doesn't. I mean, I'm almost surprised they didn't have some Kalamata olives in here or something, just as another element to make it more Mediterranean. But it's one of the stronger flavored MREs, which maybe is why it seems so polarizing. I'm kind of surprised with the sodium content of most entrees, that they actually don't taste more flavorful. Some of them are pretty bland, and you actually need that salt or that hot sauce that they sometimes put in there. This one is very distinctive, has a lot of flavor, and I think I agree with Epicenter. I think it's very good. I guess the bottom line is, if you don't like Mediterranean food, if you don't like feta cheese, and you don't like anything that's strong, it's not very tomatoey, but the feta definitely comes through. So if anything in here, sets off an alarm that it's something you don't like, you're probably not going to like it. But I think this is one it's a good one for somebody to give a chance, especially if you think a lot of the MREs are kind of bland and all taste the same. This definitely kicks it up a notch. It's not spicy, but it kicks up a notch flavor-wise. So that's a review of the MRE Entree chicken with tomatoes and feta cheese, or Mediterranean chicken. To be honest, I can't really think of too many things to compare it to, at least as far as MRE entrees are concerned. It's really its own thing. And I guess it's going to boil down to, you're probably either going to like it or hate it. In the interest of trying to have as complete a review as possible, I saved some to let it cool down. It's not cold, but it's room temperature now. And just to see what it's like if you just were out in the field and you didn't have a way to heat this, or didn't have time to heat it. Maybe that's why some people are finding it so gross. It seems like I'm seeing a little bit more of the cheese. It may have melted a little bit into the sauce when it was hot, but now that it's cooled off, it seems to be a little bit more visible. Let me go ahead and give this a try now. And I still think it's good. I can't say it really tastes much different. Heating always helps. That's something I've learned with MREs. If there's a way to heat them and you have the time, you should do it. I think it always tastes better. But even cool down, this is still very good, in my opinion.